Hello, welcome to this lecture on molecular quantum chemistry. In this lecture, I am going to discuss some of the questions that appeared in the previous year CSIR JRF NET examinations. Okay, let's get into the topic. This is question number 1. The trial wave function of a system is expanded as psi t equal to C1 phi1 plus C2 phi2. So, a trial wave function is given. The matrix elements of the Hamiltonian are phi1 h phi1, the value is 0, phi1 h phi2, the value is 2.0, and the phi2 h phi1 also has the same value 2.0, and phi2 h phi2 has the value 3.0. The question is the approximate ground state energy of the system from the linear variational principle is. Okay, so here the integral phi1 h phi1 is shortly represented as h11. This is h11. h11 value is given as 0. Then the integral phi1 h phi2, okay, it is represented as h12, and the integral phi2 h phi1, it is represented as h21. The values of these integrals are equal, and it is equal to 2.0. And the value of the integral phi2 h phi2, which is represented as h22, the value of this integral is 3.0. If it is so, what is the ground state, approximate ground state energy of the system from the linear variation principle? Okay, how to do this? Yeah, let me do this problem. So, question number 1, h11 value is 0, then h12 and h21 values are given as 2.0, then the value h22 is given as 3.0. Okay, since the trial wave function is a linear combination of two functions phi1 and phi2. Okay, so if you calculate the average energy for the ground state, okay, using the trial wave function, this is the formula psi t star h operator psi t d tau by psi t star psi t d tau, where psi t is the trial wave function. Okay, if you solve this equation, we will end up with a secular determinant. I will write the short representation of the secular determinant, that is h11 minus es11, h12 minus es12, h21 minus es21, h22 minus es22. That should be equal to 0. Okay, so if you simplify this equation and if you integrate with respect to the coefficient c1, and if you put the value equal to 0, you will get one secular equation. Similarly, if you differentiate this with respect to c2 and if you substitute the value equal to 0, you will get another secular equation. By combining the two secular equation, we can write the secular determinant, okay, as in this form, right? Since the trial wave function consists of linear combination of two functions, okay, we will end up with the second order determinant. Okay, yeah, if the trial wave function contains a linear combination of three functions, we will end up with the secular determinant of order 3, right? Yeah, so now how to solve this? h11 value is given, h11 value is 0 minus, I'll substitute the values, and s11 is actually normalization integral, s12 is overlap integral. Since these values are not given, okay, you can assume the values as listen. In general, the normalization integrals are assumed to be equal to 1, okay, or are usually 1. The overlap integral s12 and s21, okay, these values are not given, so I am going to assume that value is 0. Normalization integrals are usually 1. Overlap integral, I am assuming the value is 0. Okay, if it is so, then the determinant becomes So H11 value is 0 minus E into S11 value is 1, so 1 into E is E. Similarly here H12 is 2.0, I will write simply 2 minus, since S12 is 0, so E into S12 becomes 0. Okay, then here H21 value is 2 minus S21 is 0, so this part becomes 0. Then here H22 is 3 minus, since S22 is 1 into E is E, equal to 0. Now if I cross multiply this, minus E into 3 minus E, will get we can simplify the determinant. How? So multiply minus E into 3 minus E, right? Then multiply this. Okay, 2 into 2 is 4, so minus 4 equal to 0. Then if you multiply this E with the 3 minus E, you will get minus 3E plus E square minus 4 equal to 0, or we can write E square minus 3E minus 4 equal to 0. This can be factorized into E plus 1 into E minus 4 equal to 0. Okay, so this is E into E square plus E minus 4E, you will get minus 3E and you will get minus 4. Yeah, so these two are the factors, and if you simplify this, you will get plus 1 become minus 1 and the minus 4 become plus 4. So you will get two possible energy values, but since in the given problem they are asking ground state energy. Okay, ground state means it is a bound state. Okay, in the bound state energy should be negative, therefore the correct option should contain minus 1. Okay, yeah, I'll go back to the question. So the correct answer for this question, right, is option A, where the value is minus 1. Okay, yeah. Now let me go to the next question. So this is question number 2. One molecular orbital of a polar molecule AB has the form Ca into psi A plus Cb into psi B. Okay, some polar molecule AB is there. For this the wave function is given, where psi A and psi B are normalized atomic orbitals of the centered on A and B respectively. Then the electron in this orbital is found on atom B with a probability of 90%. Okay, so what does that mean? Neglecting the overlap between psi A and psi B, a possible set of Ca and Cb is, suppose if there is no overlap between Ca and Cb, then what is the possible value of Ca and Cb? It is very easy now. Listen, the electron in this orbital, see in this orbital, the electron is present roughly 90% probability. Okay, it is present with 90% probability on atom B. So for atom B, the coefficient is Cb. Cb square supposed to be equal to 90%. 90% means 90 by 100. So this is 0.9. Okay, Cb square value, because the probability of finding the electron on atom B is 90% for the given molecular orbital. It means the coefficient, square of the coefficient is 90%. 90% means 90 by 100, it is 0.9. Or if you take square root, you will get plus or minus 0.9. If you take square root of 0.9, you will get roughly 0.946 something, or roughly 0.95. So the coefficient of Cb should be either plus 9.5, plus 0.95 or minus 0.95. Okay, if you see the options, only this option has the value 0.95 for Cb. So the correct option for this question is option D. Okay, yeah. Then see the next question. Question number 3. Identify the Huckel determinant for cyclobutadiene. So the given system is cyclobutadiene. For cyclic conjugated system, right, the determinant should be a circulant. Okay, what is circulant? Circulant supposed to have same numbers in the leading diagonal. Okay, it should have same number in the leading diagonal, and it should have same number, okay, above the leading diagonal and below the leading diagonal. Not only that, the corner elements, the right hand side top corner and left hand side bottom corner, these two elements, okay, supposed to be beta. So if you keep this information and if you analyze the options, see the correct option for this question is option C. Why? See the leading diagonal, all the leading diagonals are alpha minus E. Above the leading diagonal and below the leading diagonal, all the values are same, beta, beta, beta. And see the right hand side corner and left hand side corner. Right hand side top corner and left hand side bottom corner elements are beta, beta. Okay, so this is an example for a continuant. Yeah, for cyclic conjugated system, the determinant should be a continuant. So the correct option for this question is option C, right? Yeah. Then next question. And see here, apart from these elements, that is the leading diagonal and off diagonal elements, apart from these elements and the corner elements, other elements supposed to be 0 in a circulant. Okay, so keep that information in mind. Now, okay, the next question is, in the formation of hydrogen molecule from two hydrogen atom placed at positions A and B and separated by a distance RAB, a part of the spatial function is given. Okay, and in options they are asking whether it is a covalent term, ionic term. Okay, yeah, so first we should identify whether it is a covalent term or an ionic term. Listen, if both hydrogen atom has one electron, okay, we call this as a covalent term. If two electrons present with one hydrogen atom and the other electron remains without electron, other atom, we call this as H plus and this is H minus. This is called ionic part. Now see here, the wave function is given as a linear combination of two. Okay, the first part, if you see, electron 1 is associated with nucleus A, electron 2 also associated with nucleus A. What does it indicate? It indicates that both the electrons are associated with the atom A. So it is Ha minus. Therefore, we can say automatically Hb should be plus. Okay, so this represents an ionic part. Similarly, see here the second one, electron 1 associated with nucleus B, electron 2 also associated with nucleus B. So this is, okay, we can represent this as Ha plus and Hb minus. So this is another possible ionic part. So this is a linear combination of two ionic part of the wave function. Okay, therefore the correct option, so it is not a covalent term, so option A is wrong. This is an ionic term and it is important when RAB approaches infinity. Listen, when distance between the two atoms approaches infinite, what will happen? Listen, electron 1 remains with nucleus A and electron 2 remains with nucleus B. We can say like this, right? So when the distance between the two atoms is infinite, okay, then electron 1 with nucleus A, electron 2 with nucleus B will remain as such. You will never get any covalent term, no interaction at all. So this is also a wrong option. So third one is covalent. Fourth one, yes, ionic term is given and it is important. Yeah, very good. And it is important when the distance between A and B approaches 0. Yes, when the distance between AB approaches 0, then there is a chance of forming ions, right? Or ionic character may arise. Okay, so this part of wave function, right, gives you an ionic part, and this is important when the distance between A and B approaches 0. So the correct option for this question is option D. Okay, yeah, by simple analysis of the given function, we can easily identify whether it is covalent or ionic. Okay, yeah, next question. The reason for the chemical inertness of gaseous nitrogen at room temperature is best given by, you know very well, nitrogen molecule which has triple bond between two nitrogen, so bond order is 3, so it is a very strong bond, so definitely bond energy should be high. And we also know that why it is chemically inert, because the HOMO-LUMO gap is large. When we have large HOMO-LUMO gap, so the molecule will be chemically inert. So the correct option for this question is option D. Okay, since the bond order is 3, nitrogen molecule has high bond energy. Okay, when HOMO-LUMO gap is large, then the molecule generally act as inert molecules. Okay, so the correct option is D. Then the next question is the energy for a single electron excitation in cyclopropenium cation in Huckel theory is. Okay, so cyclopropenium cation. Yeah, this is cyclopropenium cation, and they are asking the energy for single electron excitation in cyclopropenium cation is. Okay, how to do this problem? Okay, so the system given is cyclopropenyl cation, and we know very well for cyclic system the molecular orbitals can be obtained using Frost cycle method. Okay, so you draw the cyclopropenium cation, right, in a Frost cycle such that you should keep always one carbon at the bottom and draw the triangle, okay, an equilateral triangle inside the circle, right. So now this carbon at this point indicates one molecular orbital, and these 2 points which touches the circle indicates the 2 other molecular orbitals. So in cyclopropenium cation we have 3 molecular orbital. One molecular orbital has energy. It is very important to remember that in all cyclic molecules, cyclic conjugated molecule, the lowest energy molecular orbital has the energy alpha plus 2 beta, and this is the barycenter. Okay, if the barycenter, if any orbital present in barycenter, then the energy of the molecular orbital should be alpha. Above that, okay, these 2 molecular orbitals have energy alpha minus beta. Okay, so this is a very well known system, that's why I am writing the energies directly. Okay, now the system given is cyclopropenium cation, which has only 2 pi electrons. In the ground state, both the pi electrons will occupy the lowest energy molecular orbital having energy alpha plus 2 beta. Now if it undergoes excitation, single electron excitation, what is the energy required? The energy required for the single electron transition is the gap between the higher level minus lower level. So the higher level energy is alpha minus beta minus, and the lower level energy is alpha plus 2 beta, right. So if we subtract, what we'll get, plus alpha minus alpha get cancelled. So this is minus beta, here minus 2 beta, we'll get minus 3 beta, or the magnitude of the value is 3 beta. So the energy required for the transition in cyclopropenium cation, okay, is actually 3 beta according to Huckel theory, right. Yeah, so the correct option is C. The energy of the single electron excitation is 3 beta. Okay, then the next question is, I'll go to the next question. The next question is, if psi is equal to 0.8 phi A plus 0.4 into phi B is a normalized molecular orbital of a diatomic molecule AB constructed from phi A and phi B, which are also normalized, then the overlap between phi A and phi B is, yeah, they are asking the overlap in, between the 2 orbital phi A and phi B. Listen, it is very easy to calculate overlap, okay, if the coefficients are available. See, the coefficient for phi A is 0.8 and the coefficient for phi B is 0.4. You just multiply the coefficients. The product of the coefficients of the atomic orbitals will directly give you the overlap integral. Okay, so the overlap is 0.32 roughly. So the correct option is B. Okay, so if you want to find the overlap between 2 atomic orbital in a molecular orbital, you just take the corresponding coefficients and multiply the coefficients, you will get the answer. Okay, yeah, it is quite easy question. Then the next one, simple Huckel molecular orbital theory considers, okay, simple Huckel molecular orbital theory, option A, considers electron-electron repulsion explicitly. No, it does not consider all the electron-electron repulsion terms, right? Then second one, distinguishes cis-butadiene and trans-butadiene. No, in Huckel theory we cannot differentiate cis-butadiene from trans-butadiene. Okay. Then third one, it distinguishes cis-butadiene and cyclobutadiene. Yes, this is possible. Okay, for cis-butadiene we will get pi electronic energy as 4 alpha plus 4.472 beta, and for cyclobutadiene the pi electronic energy is 4 alpha plus 4 beta. Okay, you will get difference in the pi electronic energy of these, right, in Huckel theory. So you can distinguish cis-butadiene from cyclobutadiene, but we cannot distinguish cis-butadiene from trans-butadiene. For cis-butadiene and trans-butadiene, Huckel theory will predict the same pi electronic energy for the system, right? So it distinguishes. So the correct option is C. Then what about option D? Has different Coulomb integrals for non-equivalent carbon atom. No, in simple Huckel theory, right, all non-equivalent carbon atoms, right, all whatever may be the carbon, always the Coulomb integral for the carbon is alpha. Okay, so the correct option for this question is option C, right? Then the next question, a Slater determinant corresponding to the ionic part of the ground state valence wave function H2 molecule is, okay, they are asking ionic part. Okay, Slater determinant for the ionic part. Yeah, you know very well, for ionic part both the electrons should be associated with the nucleus A, or both the electrons should be associated with the nucleus B. See here, so if you in option A, if I cross multiply this, what we'll get? We'll end up with 1s A alpha 1, 1s A beta 2. What does it indicate? See, electron 1 associated with the nucleus A, electron 2 also associated with the nucleus A. It means, okay, both the electrons are present with the atom A, so it gets minus charge, and the other atom gets plus charge. So it is an ionic part. Similarly, if you cross multiply this, see, electron 1 associated with the nucleus A, electron 2 also associated with the nucleus A. So you will get same ionic part once again. Okay, so the correct option for this question is option A. It will give you ionic part directly, right? If you want, just check option B. If you do cross multiplication, you will get this function 1s A alpha 1 into 1s B beta 2. See here, electron 1 is associated with the nucleus A, whereas electron 2 is associated with the nucleus B. Okay, so this is a term corresponds to covalent nature of the molecule. Okay, it's a covalent term. Similarly, see here, electron 1, if you cross multiply this, electron 1 associated with nucleus A, electron 2 associated with nucleus B. Okay, it is also a covalent term. Similarly, in option D, okay, 1 associated with the nucleus A and electron 2 associated with nucleus B. So this is also a covalent term. So the only option which corresponds to an ionic part of the hydrogen molecule is option A. Okay, yeah. Then the next question is, the simplest ground state valence bond wave function of a diatomic molecule like HCl is given as, wave function is given in this manner. That is, electron 1 is present in 1s orbital of hydrogen atom A, hydrogen atom. Then electron 2 is present in 3pz orbital of chlorine atom. Okay, electron 1 present with hydrogen atom, electron 2 is present with the chlorine atom, plus B. What is this B? Listen, according to the valence bond wave function, okay, electrons are indistinguishable. Therefore, if electron 1 present with A, hydrogen atom, and electron 2 present with the chlorine atom, then we have an equally other possible part of the wave function, that is 2 with the hydrogen atom, 1 with the chlorine atom. So that is actually B. So by analyzing the options, if you see in option A, electron 2 is associated with the atom, hydrogen atom, that is correct, but it is given 3pz orbital. Okay, since the wave function is a ground state wave function, for hydrogen atom, the ground state wave function should be 1s. So electron 2 is supposed to be in 1s, but it is given 3pz here, so this option is wrong. What about option B? Electron 2 with the hydrogen atom. Yes, this is correct, and it is given 1s orbital, so this is okay. What about this? Electron 1 is present in 3pz orbital of chlorine. Yes, this is supposed to be the correct option. What about option C? In option C, see electron 2 with the chlorine, electron 1 also with the chlorine. It is an ionic part. It is not a covalent part, it is an ionic part. Okay, whereas this is actually a covalent part of the wave function. So the equal probable covalent part is option B only. Okay, option C will give you ionic part. What about option C? In option C, electron 2 is present in chlorine, electron 1 is present in hydrogen atom. Okay, so there is no exchange of electron is given here. Therefore, this option is wrong. And also, electron 1 is present in 3pz orbital of hydrogen atom. Okay, so the correct option for this question is option B. Right? Then. Okay. The next question is, which of the following statements is incorrect? So we need to identify the incorrect statement here. Option A, Slater determinant is an anti-symmetrized wave function. Yes, this is a correct statement actually. Slater determinant gives you anti-symmetrized wave function. Okay, it's correct statement. Then second one, electronic wave function should be represented by Slater determinant. Yes, listen, electrons are fermions. Fermions obey Pauli principle. Okay, so according to Pauli principle, for fermions, the electronic wave function should be antisymmetric wave function. Since Slater determinant, okay, gives the antisymmetric wave function for the system, we can represent electronic wave function should be in Slater determinant. Okay, this is a correct statement, because Slater determinant gives antisymmetric wave function for the system. Then third statement, a Slater determinant always corresponds to a particular spin state. No. You can write Slater determinant for a singlet state, for a triplet state, for a doublet state. Okay, so you can write Slater determinant for any state, right? So this is the incorrect statement actually. This is the incorrect statement. Okay, so for this question the correct option is C. What about option D? A Slater determinant obeys the Pauli exclusion principle. Yes, Slater determinant obeys Pauli exclusion principle. This is also a correct statement. So among the four, the only incorrect statement is option C. Right? Then the next question is, the first excited state of hydrogen molecule is. For hydrogen molecule, the molecular orbital diagram or the molecular orbital picture is this. So the ground molecular orbital sigma g 1s, and the first excited molecular orbital sigma g star 1s. I'll write here sigma g star 1s. In the ground state, both electrons are present in the lowest molecular orbital. In the first excited state, okay, let us put one electron in the psi g star. Right, I call this as the first excited state. Okay, so this is the first excited state where one electron is present in sigma g orbital, the other electron is present in sigma g star orbital. Right, now what is the term symbol corresponds to this? We know very well the lambda value for electron 1. Right, electron 1 is present in sigma orbital, right? So lambda value is 0 for sigma orbital. Then electron 2 also present in sigma, but it is antibonding sigma. Okay, whatever it is for sigma as well as for sigma star. Okay, I'll write here for sigma as well as for sigma star orbital. Okay, lambda value is 0. Keep this in your mind, very important. So for electron 1, lambda value is 0. For electron 2 also, lambda value is 0. Therefore, big lambda is the sum of lambda 1 plus lambda 2. If you add them, you will get big lambda as 0. If big lambda is 0, then the symbol is sigma. Okay, so the symbol for this first excited state of hydrogen molecule should be sigma. In all the 4 options, sigma is given, so we have to proceed further. Okay, what's the next step? Next step is we should find out the spin. Okay, electron 1 may have spin plus half, may have spin half. Okay, for electron spin is half, S2 also half. Therefore, capital S can be S1 plus S2, that is 1, S1 minus S2, that is 0. S is equal to 1 corresponds to a triplet state, S is equal to 0 corresponds to a singlet state. So, the possible excited states are, I'll write here, singlet sigma and triplet sigma. 2 possible states are there. But we know very well, compared to singlet, triplet state is lower in energy in general. Therefore, the triplet state, right, is considered as the first excited state. Triplet state is considered as the first excited state. So, option C and option D, okay, these 2 options have triplet states with the sigma, right? Then, for sigma g orbital, right, the symmetry, sigma g orbital, Gerard symmetry. For sigma star anti-bonding orbital, symmetry is un-Gerard. Sigma bonding, symmetry is Gerard. Sigma anti-bonding, symmetry is un-Gerard. So, electron 1 is present in Gerard symmetry orbital, and electron 2 is present in orbital with un-Gerard symmetry. So, if you multiply Gerard and un-Gerard, Gerard into un-Gerard is un-Gerard. Therefore, the correct option should be option D. Okay, so it is very easy to find the term symbols for the ground state as well as for the excited state for molecular systems. Okay, then, yeah, we have discussed a few questions from the previous year CSIR JRF NET examinations. We'll discuss some more questions from this topic in the forthcoming lectures. See you then.